Well, good afternoon, everybody. Once again, here we are with the United Regional Chamber of Commerce's weekly update. We try and bring you some interesting guests every week. Um, we're going to try kind of do a repeat from last week. We had a little technical difficulties last week, but my guest again this week is Kelly Fox. Kelly Fox has uh, graciously decided to come back on with us to talk a little bit about Christmases for Kids and the Council for Children, the fundraiser that Dave Kane started many, many years ago, and Kelly picked up the torch and has been running with it for a long, long time. Helps hundreds and hundreds of families every year. Kelly Fox, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me on and giving us another try. Last week was a little bit of a technical challenge, but here we are. It's all good. Thank you.
That's it. Well, Kelly, we know things have changed a whole lot because of all the COVID stuff. First, tell us a little bit about the Christmases for Kids, how it started, and how things have progressed so far this year.
Well, it started. I mean, it started in 1983 with Dave Kane, and over the years we've become more and more specific in terms of helping out children. We ask for an awful lot of details around what the children need, what they want. We try to match up new toys, but specifically we start with what we consider the most important thing would be a new coat if needed, winter boots, warm pajamas, because a lot of the children are living in homes where if parents are going to try to save money, the first thing a lot of us do, right, is turn the heat back. So we really do try to make sure that we've got warm clothes for the kids, and then we ask them what they might like to have so that we can surprise them with maybe a toy or a gift that they really wouldn't have expected that mom and dad would have been able to afford for them to be able to get. So from 1983, we've been in so many different places, from the Masons in downtown Attleboro. Nancy Young gave us space for a year behind the jewelry store. Brian Germain had us at his place on Water Street. We've been in the old Murray's restaurant, for anybody who goes back that far, in Attleboro. So when that closed, George Ross, bless his heart, we miss him. He gave us his space for a couple of years. And so now we've been since 2009 at 135 County, which is the original Attleboro High School. And hopefully within a year or so, we'll be in our own building in North Attleboro in the industrial park. So that's kind of a little bit of history of Christmases for Kids. We've been nomads. We take care of between 800 and 1,000 children every year, which is daunting. They come from Department of Children and Families, New Hope, Catholic Social Services, the Robbins Children's Center, Kennedy Donovan Center, as well as about 350 of those children are because parents have applied to us directly and asked for help. So, trying to match up special needs, the toy of the year, whatever it is the kids need, plus especially books. We've got this wonderful partnership with An Unlikely Story. Even this year, we're working on a wish list with An Unlikely Story because we really can't get into the bookstore and do what we've been doing, which is gift wrapping and we would usually have like a big Christmas tree in there with ornaments. So we've been working with them. We're going to put together a wish list, which will be on their website. So anybody who is a book lover like me that might like to just go onto the website for An Unlikely Story and choose some books, that would be fantastic. And then they'll get them to us so we can make sure that every little person has at least one book in their bag.
Jeff Kinney and his team over there are just such an awesome group. They're so generous to everybody. And Jeff himself is just a real person. He's just a regular guy. Yeah. For somebody who's as successful as he is, he travels all around the world to bring his books to the kids. He's just a regular guy. And
he's very down to earth. He's great. And they have been wonderful, wonderful to work with. And we try whenever we can with several of the companies in the area whenever we can to make it a good partnership. So certainly people are buying the books to donate to the children. That's a win-win for the kids. It's a win-win for us, and it's a win-win for the company. So I think that yeah, whenever we can do that with the business community, and seriously, the business community has been incredibly supportive of the program. We try to make those kudos and accolades online or on our Facebook page. Lots of thank yous whenever we can, because we know, especially this year, it's going to be that much more difficult, I think, for a lot of companies to be able to make those donations, right? Because as you know better than anybody, right?
Yeah. And sometimes, as you know, the thank you is more important than the ask. For all these nonprofits out there, there's many that need to learn that if you ask a business and a business steps up to help you, a thank you, a quick note goes a long way, especially when you're going to be going back to them again in the future.
Right.
Now, Kelly, you normally have an army of volunteers that can come into County Street and help you do all these things. Tell us, I know you've had to cut back, you've had to go to shifts. Tell us how you've organized all that, please.
So one of the hardest things for us was making the decision that our volunteers would all need to be 18 or older. I love having the teenagers in. I learned so much from them. They have so much energy and they're so much fun to be around. But we just felt that this year we needed to, number one, only have veterans in. So these are people who've already put a couple of years of volunteering in, so they already know the general process of what we do. And then also we just felt that for everyone's safety, for the kids, for ours, for all the way around, it was a very difficult decision that we would say 18 and older. So we are running 2 shifts. So we're doing a 1 to 4 shift and then a 5 to 8 shift, because we are limited as to the number of people we can have in the building at any given time. So that way, if we might still be able to get 40 people over the course of the day, but we're splitting them out between the 2 shifts. And then essentially what we'll do is we'll just have we're planning that afternoon shift will be doing a lot of the stuffing of the bags and the matching up of wish lists into the bags. In the evening shift, when we'll be able to have donors drop off. So we want to do a contactless drop off with donors. So we're going to ask donors to please just drive up Prospect Street. We'll have runners that will go out, pull the donations out of their trunk, kind of like what we did with the food drive, remember?
Yep.
And then we'll let them go on their merry way, and then we can bring the goods into the drop-off center. So again, if we can not have the contact, as much as we love seeing our donors, we just want them to be safe. I want to keep the volunteers safe. So we'll let them head out, and then in the evening, I envision that we'll be doing more of the checking of the bags that come in from donors, and also setting up any toy drives or any other kind of drives. Those will be dropped off, I'm assuming, in the evening, and the elves that night will be putting them up kind of like as inventory, if you will, so that the next shift, the next afternoon, can be pulling off of the shelves and filling bags. So we had to uncouple the whole process and put it back together again from a parent perspective, from a volunteer perspective, and from a donor perspective. We are the king and queen of logistics over here.
I was just going to say, and on top of all that, you got this silly thing called a regular job.
I do. And you know what? I am as busy as I have ever been with my practice. It has just been crazy over here, which we are so grateful for new clients coming in and current clients being patient with us as we adapt to the new protocols over here too, of not seeing as many people doing more what we're doing, where a Zoom call, or we're now on Microsoft Team call. So just everybody's had to adapt and be patient and keep up a sense of humor, right?
Yeah, absolutely. You have to. And you've dealt with me long enough. I have that weird sense of humor.
Yes, you've got a good sense of humor. So, when we did the toy drive, I mean, the food drive, we're going to do a toy drive. So you're going to have to come back over and help us because now you've done it once. That makes you a professional.
It's kind of like the mafia. Once they suck you in, they don't let you go. But it's such a great cause. And actually, that was one of my questions that I was going to be for you. A few members of my young professionals organization came and helped us at the food drive.
Yeah.
They were gracious enough to be the runners and take stuff out of the trunks. And I've got a couple of them that want to volunteer this year, but I know that, we can't go inside and do the things. So at some point, you and I are going to have a conversation on, how these organizations like the United Regional's Young Professionals can help. Is it having a toy drive? Is it having, you tell us.
Yeah, well, we've got several things because we need to continue to figure out ways to do fundraising, right? So right now we actually have an online auction going on. I don't know if you've had a chance to get out onto the site, but again, our friends from An Unlikely Story did an auction earlier in the year, if you remember. So I participated in that, and I thought it was so easy that we used the same platform that they used. And so we have quite a lot of things, including a Tom Brady rookie card, if anybody's still interested in Tom Brady, that's on, and we have a Gronkowski autographed football. There's a beach house. There's lots of things on the auction site. So that would be a big help if folks want to get out there and they can do that from the comfort of their living room. If anybody has been cleaning out their closets over the last few months, which I think everybody now should have very clean closets, we're doing a Savers Drive this Saturday. So we could use some help there. If your young professionals would like to come over from 9 to 11 and just help us. Again, people will be driving by, hopefully just allowing us to grab the bags of clothes or linens or anything soft goods out of their trunk. And then we'll be at 135 County, the old Attleboro High School, our drop-off center. And then from 9 to 11, then 11 o'clock, there'll be a caravan that will go over to Savers, and it all has to be emptied out at Savers. So we can always use some extra hands with that. That would be fantastic. And then our National Day of Service through my office, we decided to do a toy drive, and that's when I'd love to have you. And again, if your young professionals would like to come over and help, we'll be here on the 24th of October from 9 to 12. So it's going to be the exact same, come in one entrance of the parking lot, pop your trunk, we'll take everything out, you keep on going your merry way, and then we'll have several trucks there to count out the toys because we like to know what we're doing. We're numbers girls over here. So we'll keep track of what we've got for toys, and then those will all caravan over to the drop-off center, and we're going to need help getting them all out of trucks and into the building. So, it's manual work. It's hard work, and we appreciate those young backs because a lot of us are over 60 now. And it's really much easier to say, could you just pick that up and bring that over here and put that down? Let them work off some energy, right?
I know this isn't politically correct, but I believe in child labor. And to us, unfortunately, those in their 20s are children.
That's right. That's right. So those are the big things that are going on, and certainly when we do the wish list, if people want to go out onto the Unlikely Story drop-off website, that would be fantastic. We're still working with the folks from the Harley Owners Group. We always do a hog run every year. It's kind of our kickoff to Christmases for Kids in early November, and we're just trying to figure out how the best way to do that as well. So I've spoken to several local companies like Leach Garner, Sensata, several other companies that have said that they wanted to help, and a lot of them have opted to do drives. Even City Hall in Attleboro they're going to be looking at purchasing toys or winter coats or something kind of in bulk and dropping them off for us early rather than waiting until into December, so that we have all that information for all that inventory, so we can then just get the bags finished up. Because I'm concerned about that second wave coming along, that I have an urgency to get as much done as we can while we can, just in case, heaven forbid, people start to get sick again in the area, and then we can't get into the building, or, we have some sort of a lockdown. And so we want to get as much done and back into either social workers or parents' hands as quickly as possible. And so getting that inventory in as early as possible allows us to finish up the bags and do a good job.
And especially because you're going to have a little lighter crew than you normally have.
Right.
That's going to be more work, more hands-on. So we urge folks, if you're willing to donate or to help out Christmases for kids, do it early. Do it as early as you can. Now, obviously, everybody is suffering through this crazy pandemic. And I think you will probably have more requests this year than you've had in years past. Am I on target there?
I think you are. We last year we took care of 848 children, and this year we figure 1,000 is probably a good round number. That's what we're gearing up for. And if we need to do more, we will do our best not to say no to any of the children or the parents, as long as we get that information in early enough. So we're looking at, probably by Thanksgiving, we would need to have, so if there's a parent that's thinking that they might like to apply, the sooner the better. Absolutely, you can go out onto councilforchildren.org, and there's an application and a story sheet and a parent letter, so you can read all about it and know what you need to send in. But the sooner the better, because like I said, we have some concerns that if we run into that second wave, we'll have to stop, and we'd like to try to get as much done as we can. And, hopefully that doesn't happen, but I don't know. What about you? I try to dust off my crystal ball every morning, but it's not really helping much.
Yeah. The only thing I have is for crystal ball. This is right here. But one thing that I have to say about your program, because we've been involved in different ones throughout the years, and my family has as well. There's an application process. There's information that the families have to provide. It's all kept private. There is, it's not disclosed to anybody. But that also helps, and this is going to sound like a tough topic, but that also helps with fraud. Okay, mm-hmm. There are some families out there and people, you can crab at me afterwards if you want to, because my mother was involved in another organization up in the Braintree area, that some of these folks would come and get toys and things from 3 or 4 different organizations.
Right.
And that's just not fair to all the families that truly need it. So I really
you're absolutely right
about your program.
So I think probably that the application process was put together specifically to try to prevent double dipping, as we call it.
Yep.
So we have the parents sign off at the bottom, and it says that they promise that they won't. But I think, like so many of us, we trust but verify, right?
Yep.
So we do coordinate with other gift-giving drives in the area. We make sure that if names show up in more than one place, that in the background we talk to each other. Like, so should you keep that family? Should we keep that family? And for families where they are new to the area, they may not understand. So we kind of give them a pass in terms of coming down on them too hard, but we don't allow them to double dip. So one organization or the other will decide, yep, we're going to hold on to them. And oftentimes they stay with our program because not only do they need to do this application process, but also we did waive the class requirements for 2020 just because we couldn't figure out a safe way to make it happen. But our plan is for 2021 to be back at it, where parents who are back coming into the program after their first year need to do a minimum of 8 hours of classwork. So the classwork is all designed to help them with parenting skills, with, maybe it's, kind of stress management. We've done stuff on healthy eating, on planting vegetables in your backyard, we're a couple of really fantastic programs with medical professionals. One woman came in who is an EMT, and she talked about first aid in the house, or when you should call your pediatrician and when you should dial 911, all good things for a parent to know. But also, I think the stress management, we did a whole program on meditation and yoga, all things that you could then also work with your children to help them catch their breath. So we also have done classes on resume writing, on dealing with grief, on job skills, you name it. Over the last many years, since we've been doing this since 2004, we have had a plethora of options. But the guidepost is always like, how do we put a class together that would help a parent take another step forward? Right. Sometimes it's connecting them up with the Literacy Center, which does an amazing job with English as a second or third or fourth language, right? And so they, if they can learn to communicate in English better, that will help them with the job. It will help them interact with the school. I mean, there's just so many things that it's just so, to us, they're simple, basic, common sense. This is the stuff you need to do to help a parent so that they can stand on their own 2 feet. Because isn't that what they want to do? I mean, really, who
That's
wants
right.
to be asking for help all the time?
And it's very, very difficult for somebody to ask for help. And that, when they do come to this program, there's no judging. There is no, none of that. It's not anybody. None of this is public information. This is held very tight amongst the team that puts these lists together, because you are the queen of logistics and the queen of organization. You really are.
Thank you. We really try so hard. One of the, as I try to focus, or have my elves focus on, if we make every decision in the best interest of the children, the parents, and the donors, we're always going to make a good decision.
Right. And, the thousands of kids and families, and one little thing that you didn't mention is you not only help the kids. When there's something in there, there's usually a little something in that bag for mom or dad. Because most parents will sacrifice to make sure their kids get taken care of, but you've taken care of them too. And that's extra special.
We don't usually make that too public, but, and it isn't necessarily every parent, but we always get gift cards. So as we're sitting down with parents and we ask them, and I think that's one of the things I'm really going to miss this year, is having the one-on-one conversations with the parents. And so normally we'd have a distribution day, and all the parents would come in on one day between like 8:30 in the morning and 6 o'clock at night. Every 15 minutes, we'd be seeing, say, 4 or 5 parents, and we would sit down with them one-on-one. And the first question you ask is, so how are you doing? What's going on? And I think you would agree that when you ask that question, you sit back and just listen, right, people will tell you things. And so we'll hear things like, I just lost my job, somebody's sick, someone died. It's not on the application anywhere. But because you're right, we have these gift cards, we have other things kind of in our tool bag, if you will, that we can give the parents something extra. And it may be gift cards for gas, because we've got a couple of parents whose children are battling cancer. And so going in and out of Boston, it's expensive to drive and park. So we'll give them gas gift cards. We'll give them grocery gift cards, CVS gift cards, because they need medicine or they need, who knows what. But just being able to spend that few minutes and get an idea of what's going on helps us to sort of exactly tailor what would be the best thing to get them through over the next few weeks or months if we can. And I will tell you, we've got some donors that are very specific about not using their money for toys and clothes. They want us to use it for something that will help the family in general. So maybe we're paying an electric bill. or a gas bill, or putting oil in the tank, or any number of things. This past year, we had a mom who had lost her job, and she was in her last semester of college.
Ooh.
So we bought her books for her so she could go back to school. Because what's the most important thing? Get her through school, right? So she doesn't need to come back and help. So we're like, okay, how do we help? Let's make sure she's got her books, because that's what was holding her up. So we were so excited that we could pay for books for her. She's going to graduate this end of the semester with a degree in accounting. So she's going to be on her own and be able to do fine. And when you think about if it was a few $100s worth of books was going to make the difference between her continuing to need help and being independent, all right, that check every day.
Yeah, that's it. That's a no-brainer.
So that's the fun stuff we get to do in the background. So thank you for bringing that up. I don't usually get to talk about that.
I know, and you know, it brings you an awful lot of personal satisfaction too, when you know that you can help somebody like that that's going to be able to stand on their own 2 feet in the future. They might need it for another year or two till they get settled, but you're there. You're there as a base, and you really do help people.
We do, and I think that I feel good that we are good stewards of our donors' money and donation and trust, and that's incredibly important to us, that we do something always that the donors would be proud of giving their money to.
Well, folks, if you have the opportunity and the wherewithal to help this program, please reach out to Kelly. If for some reason you can't get a hold of Kelly, reach out to us here at the Chamber. We'll put you directly in touch with Kelly. I've had the pleasure of working with Kelly for a couple of weeks now.
Yeah, a couple times.
Yeah. And, you know, we just want to help as much as we can. I will talk to some of the young professionals. You'll get stuck with my ugly mug there on a couple of days. So, because I enjoy helping, and we get to say hi to a lot of folks.
October 24th. Come visit, come play with us.
Okay. Well, make sure you send me the info, and we're going to put it out in our newsletter, and we'll make sure it gets all over social media. And that's one of the other things we can ask the public to do. Share this out on social media. You may not be in the position that you can help, but you know so many different people. We all do. Send it out, please, and share it on social media. Share it on with your personal page. Helping one person could make a whole difference in their lives. So Kelly Fox, Council for Children, thank you very much for coming on my show this week.
Thank you, Jack.
We will see you on the 24th. And
look forward to it.
If there's anything else that we can do, pick up the phone, give me a holler. Big shout out to Dave Angel on AACS for putting this show together for us. He was pretty patient with us last week when we had a couple of technical difficulties, but they're a great organization over there, and they do an awful lot for the community as well. So, folks, thank you once again for joining us this week. We will see you again next week. Everybody be safe and be social.
Thanks.